Mr. Broska.
Good evening. I would like to start by thanking the Streetsboro Area Chamber of Commerce and its director, Valerie Fiala, for sponsoring this debate, St. Joan of Arc Church and Father Pat for graciously hosting the event, Bob Long and Bob Gatchens for facilitating and moderating this forum, but most of all, I would like to thank all of you, the citizens of the great city of Streetsboro, that are in attendance. 4 years ago, I knew that my experience in the Marine Corps, my work as a manager in the private sector, and 22 years in the fire service, attaining the rank of captain and being a leader, would serve me well. I believe that the creed that was entrenched in me in the Marine Corps, honor, courage, and commitment, as well as my strong faith in God, would guide me to make the right decisions to better the city that I had been chosen to lead and manage. I hit the ground running on December 5th, 2011, and have never stopped. In the last 4 years, this community has seen substantial economic growth and roadway upgrades. I'm also exceptionally proud that we have dramatically improved the image of our city. I have restored respect and dignity to the office of the mayor. It has not been business as usual. It has been business accomplished the right way. Over the last 4 years, we have realized significant improvements in our infrastructure. We have stabilized and improved our finances, submitting our third consecutive balanced budget, expanding our employment opportunities, and increasing our city income for the 4 consecutive years that I have been in office. And furthermore, receiving rave reviews for our financial management as stated by Standard & Poor's through upgrading our bond rating from AA- to AA. We have been very successful in leveraging $3.8 million of our tax dollars into over $22 million in federal and state grants. With my background in the fire service, no one has ever doubted my pledge to always have the finest, well-equipped, fully trained police and fire departments, always focusing on the safety of our residents. I have built strong business relationships with those that will help us to continue to grow and prosper. I have reached out and engaged other mayors and leaders of the surrounding communities to facilitate a growing partnership based on collaboration, cooperation, and communication. I have been a strong supporter of our school system, the success of which is inextricably linked to the success of our city. I created the Streetsboro Manufacturers and Related Trades program, dubbed the SMART program, which brings our students and industry together in a mutually beneficial program, providing hands-on training and possibly fruitful employment to the students in our community. My promise to you remains the same: progress, progress, progress. It is my honor to continue to serve as your mayor. I will have the courage to make the right decisions, and it is my commitment to always put Streetsboro first. Thank you.
Mr. Allen.
Ready? Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I want to thank everybody for coming out this evening. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Jeff Allen. I'm your city council president. 52 years old. I've been a resident for nearly 50 years in the city of Streetsboro. I've been a businessman. I've had the good fortune of being quite successful at business. My father, he raised our family here. I've raised my family here. My children are going to raise their families here. Me and my family are very vested in the city of Streetsboro. We have no desire or plans to leave this city. I love the city. Why am I running? Obviously, there's a difference of opinion between me and my opponent, or I wouldn't be running. I'm running because I believe we have too much debt. And we simply cannot continue to live on credit and fly by the seat of your pants planning. And that's what I've experienced and witnessed in his tenure, and have fought on council continuously to try to rectify and keep the train on the tracks. What I'm going to do if elected as mayor, I'm going to create long-term plans, fiscal and capital. I'm going to create a budget advisory oversight commission so we can budget out 5, 10, 15 years. Been knocking on a lot of doors lately. I get the same old questions. We hear reports like we're progress here, but the same old questions still happen at the door. Where's my rec center? What are you doing with City Hall? When you paving my road? When you going to fix my flooding issue? So on and so forth. These are examples of the question. Same old questions we've always had. Same old questions we're going to keep getting until we get a business plan. And you have to get a business plan by getting a long-term plan. Economic development. Economic development, my history already shows that I've laid the groundwork for economic development. My opponent fought against me when I was on charter review, fought very hard against me to get a full-time economic developer in this town. Not only did me and my colleagues on charter review get that to the voters, I also formed a political action committee and funded it out of my own pocket. Got it passed. We now today have an economic developer in the city of Streetsboro. Economic development is my specialty. Do I have 1 minute? Economic development is my specialty. I've created jobs my entire life. I understand real estate and making deals and making strong negotiations. These things that I speak of, this is how successful businesses run, successful households run, successful communities run. This is how they become great and you achieve greatness. I call this business solutions to government. That's what I will bring as mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Allen. We have received several questions prior to the session tonight, and we received quite a few as well during the intermission here. As we move into the question portion, I want to say that some of the questions occasionally were a little bit repetitious, and we combined a couple of them and also reworded a few just for clarity purposes. But we wanted to maintain the original concept of what the questions were. So if you gave them to us earlier or gave them to us tonight, we are including some of these in here as well. The questions covered are in several areas dealing with general concerns for the mayor, along with plans economically and management and finance. So we're going to be getting through to these questions, and we're going to begin with 2-minute statements for each question, and beginning with Mr. Broska with question number 1. Mr. Broska, what do you believe is your strongest leadership trait for wanting to hold the top position in the city?
My strongest leadership trait has been the ability to work with council. We don't always agree on everything, and we have had some back and forth, and that is part of life. That is why we have the checks and balances that we have. You have a 7-member council and you have a mayor and an administration, and it's my job to present to them the items and things that we need to get done, and then to have a healthy debate back and forth with council. I have reached out to the neighboring communities, the mayors and the service directors in the neighboring communities. We formed a committee, more or less, of the basically 20 of us that are out there that have expressed the ability to work together. And that's all part of this, is all the cooperation, it's the leadership, it is everything that is rolled into one.
My leadership skills. Real simple. Business. I've been in business my entire life. I've been successful because I can work with others. I have the ability to negotiate, get deals done. I have the ability to get the job done. I know how to do it fiscally responsible. I know how to get great results, not mediocre results, the greatest results. Those is what I'll bring to the table. Thank you.
Mr. Allen, next question begins with you. If elected, what would be your 3 top priorities and how would you address them?
3 top priorities. Economic growth. Economic growth, I'll address them. I have an economic incentive plan, a local creations job grant incentive that will be locally funded. This way we can get aggressive and we don't have to steal from the schools, and we can keep the schools healthy. I will reduce the debt. I have a plan to reduce the debt. We have 2 pieces of property that need to be sold off. They should be turned into revenue. They should be turned into very large revenue for the city's coffers and the school's coffers. They need money just as bad as we need money. The state has been very hard on our schools, and for them to achieve greatness, they need more revenue. We need to get them more revenue and think very seriously about economic growth and not keep going back on the property tax owners for more tax for the schools. We need economic growth to get that for them. Infrastructure. Infrastructure, we need to continue with a very aggressive road program. A road program that makes sense. A road program that paves in phases, areas, so it's maintainable. We can come back years to come. Not one that panders votes, that you put on a high traffic road so you can get votes from. The top priority for infrastructure is State Route 14. Anybody who's traveling that road understands it needs to be widened. The school did a traffic study. They did a nice job with their traffic study. They told us it needed widened. Now we need to keep our end of the deal. We gave them a permit. We need to keep our end of the deal and widen State Route 14 and get sidewalks. Thank you.
My three priorities in the next term will be to continue the efforts that we have in economic development. We recently completed the Phillip Parkway extension, which opened up 150 acres of industrial land for our city. We don't have in the city now land large enough to handle larger businesses, the businesses that we need that are going to bring the type of income that we need. Phillip Parkway, when it is filled with businesses, will generate up to $500,000 a year in income taxes for the city. It will also give much needed funding to the school system. We will continue to expand our infrastructure to attract the business, both commercial and industrial. We've done a heck of a job so far. We extended the water lines into the Sunny Slopes area, which they promised 30, 40, 50 years ago. We've paved the roads in that area, and the remaining portions will be paved. We've had an extensive paving program. We've paved, I believe it's 22 roads in the last 4 years, 187,000 square yards of asphalt we've laid down. More than anybody has done in the 10 years prior to us being here. My goal is to get out of the City Hall complex that we're in now, to build a new City Hall, and at the same time, build a rec center. Our citizens deserve it, they want it, and we will find a way to build it without putting a burden on our citizens.
Mr. Broska, what do you feel is the most important quality of life issue for residents in the city? And if elected, what can or will you do to ensure that it continues?
Our citizens need the ability to relax, recreate. They need to have the ability to get from one side of the town to the other without standing in traffic forever and a day. Our transportation infrastructure is 15 years behind where it should be. We have shown that we are willing to invest the money into improving that traffic infrastructure to the tune of $3.8 million of city money leveraged to give us $22 million in improvements. This and the ability to recreate and the ability to raise your kids and go to school in a good school system. Quality of life is not just one issue. Quality of life is many issues. It's not something that can only be one thing. Quality of life is fully rounded. We have to provide all the things to all the demographics in our society, in our city. We have to provide for young, we have to provide for middle-aged, we have to provide for old. And it's not something, I should say elderly, I don't want to say old. It's not something that is just one item. Quality of life is the full circle. And that's what we need to provide for. And that's what we've done in the last 4 years. The things that we have done in this city touched every demographic in this city. And we will continue to do that.
Quality of life. This is quite simple. This all goes back to economic growth. The residents want a rec center. We need great schools. The real quality of life comes from our youth, from our schools. The only way we're going to get great quality of life is to start with our youth. And it goes back to economic growth and development, and we need to get our schools money without going on the backs so we can continue to grow our schools to be great. Then we can talk about a rec center. We can have serious conversations about getting that for a quality of life. Thank you.